systems are a go.
Confirming all systems are a go. Launching the podcast.
3, 2, 1.
This is Hello from Mars.
Oh, look at that. We survived this long, hard, cold winter, and it's officially springtime. Finally, windows down, system up, let's do it. Though, of course, if you are in the New England, New York area, maybe just hold off on that for just like a split second, or enjoy this week while it's 60s, because we just never know what's going to happen here. So we have like 12 seasons in this part of the country. So like, I don't know. We should like never, ever put the winter wear away, because we could have a blizzard in the middle of June for all we know. That's probably not going to happen, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just inevitable that no one really knows, especially with climate change. It's up in the air. It's also softball season. We're getting there. So what this means for you guys is that potentially I'm going to have something that hurts eventually and a story to follow. So real accident prone, we know this, and I have no shame. So it's coming. I don't want to wish it on myself, but I'm just being realistic here. Also, some stuff about being accident prone is coming up here in Tops and Pops. So let's get to that.
Tops in Pop.
Let's start with a light story of potential accident proneness. So the Mighty Ducks movies, remember those from the 90s, mid 90s? Apparently they're doing a reboot, and the 10 episodes of it are going to be on Disney Plus as of this Friday, March 26th. A lot of the original cast is back. They've got to be in their 40s by now, right? So Joshua Jackson is not one of them. I think he realized that this could potentially be a really bad idea. But like, 40, mid 40s on ice. I mean, what could go wrong, right? I'm sure something, but Coach Bombay is back. And yeah, I mean, if you're like a nostalgic kind of person, this might be a lot of fun to go ahead and binge. So that's happening as of this Friday. As a reminder too, Demi Lovato's documentary comes out as of today, at least the first episode of it on YouTube, if you want to check that out. And then fans got all their feathers sorts of ruffled this weekend with Kylie Jenner. Actually, fans and haters alike. Let's be serious, because here's the story. Basically, like, her former makeup artist got in this big old car accident, requires brain surgery if he hasn't had it already. That means the medical bills are piling up. And there was a GoFundMe that was set up for him. And the goal initially was $10,000. Well, Kylie went and donated $5,000 and put it over the top. So congratulations. Very nice gesture, right? But then she goes and she starts asking fans to donate. And they're all like, hey, Miss Self-Made Billionaire, why don't you just go ahead and pay his medical bills? And I get it. Like, she doesn't have to. She was already generous by donating $5,000, but $5,000 to her is like me picking a penny up in the parking lot. Like, it's not a big deal. Let's be serious. So I do get where people are like, hey, help your favorite makeup artist out and go ahead and, cut him some slack and pay that bill. So I don't know if anything more is going to come from that, but she's getting a whole lot of flack. So, but I think kind of rightfully so. Also in the news, we've got two really big stalker situations, and I feel like this is popping up more and more lately. So is the general public just going cray? I think that might be what's happening. But for Johnny Depp, he had a stalker that not only got in his house, but got real comfortable, made himself a drink, took a shower, got arrested. So there's that. And then you've got Pete Davidson from SNL, who I think may still live with mom. If not, still lives with at least a relative. And this situation, this woman claimed to have gotten married to Pete. She really hasn't, just so we're clear. And then also just like waltzed on into a side door that happened to be open because somebody was home, and they immediately called 911 and like, hey, there's some crazy lady in our house. Get her out of here. And she'd been arrested too. So here's the thing. There's a thing called fans, right? And then there's like that next level that's just a little creepy. Don't be that person. Okay. Don't be the creepy person. I don't want to have to talk about you during Tops and Pop, But speaking of cray and kind of crazy situations here, I've got my guest coming up, my cousin Heather. She's not crazy, but crazy situation that she has been in, because obviously we've all been living through this pandemic, but Heather found out she was pregnant really soon into the pandemic. So, and then just recently gave birth during a time when things are just wild. So now that Lily is about 2 months old, she is officially here and made her presence in the world. I thought, let's get Heather on and let us fill us in on how this is like, having a baby and going through all these appointments when the world is just unlike any other time we've ever experienced. So let's take a look at Heather's story now. It was like little Heather wants to follow in Marissa's footsteps and play softball and whatever. And
exactly.
I'm not going to follow in yours though. Again, nothing coming out of me.
My favorite cousin. Here we are.
Oh, stop. So I haven't seen you since, what was it, like October?
I know. I think so.
I mean, the last time I saw you, it was
quite large.
Yeah. I mean, you had quite the belly going on.
I know. I told Matt, I'm like, we need to bring Lily over here so, everybody knows this is a real story.
I mean, I could show pictures of how gigantic
there was a real baby.
But the thing is that what people need to understand is Heather, very tiny, petite kind of child.
Here I am.
And you had a bigger than a basketball in your belly. Lily,
I sure did.
How big was she when she was born? What was the size?
Gosh, she was 7 pounds, 7 ounces.
I expected bigger when she came out.
Well, here's the thing. If she showed up on her due date, she would have been quite large, and that would have been very scary for little Heather.
All sorts of things would have been just your whole body would have been I give up.
I know because actually her due date it was supposed to be January 26th, and then she arrived January 12th. So if we went to January 26th, that could be very scary. It could have been a 9-pound turkey.
Which I want to say my mom was pretty big when she was born, which you wouldn't expect because
never
Sharon, but
Sharon, no.
But no. She was I think she was a 9-pound baby. I could be wrong.
She could have been, and that's crazy.
I don't know how Nana survived it, but she did. And then she had 3 more. What the heck possessed her for that? So, I mean, I would ask what you've been doing this pandemic, but clearly everybody knows because, I mean, you had a baby in January. So if you do the math and you carry the 3, I mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Pandemic baby.
Pandemic. I know. And I also have I've waited 9 months for this.
There's that wine.
I have it with me today.
It's well deserved. It is very well deserved. Obviously, we're all living in this weird time, and I'm glad that I'm seeing you without a mask on. But
I know.
Here we are in the weirdest time that you and I have experienced being alive, and all of a sudden you find out you're pregnant.
Yep.
So what are now the feelings that you're feeling going through all of this and learning this and knowing how the world is? Obviously it's exciting, but what is going through your mind? Because this is not the norm pregnancy. So
no, not at all. So, I mean, it's crazy. We kind of went through a whirlwind because I think you probably know, but miscarriages happen. This happened in February. I had one. So I went into kind of this dark place initially, of going into this pandemic where I was we had already lost what was coming, something exciting and great for us. And it was very early on in the pregnancy. So it was, not to say that that's a good thing, but it was something that I could accept, I think, a little more easily. So when we were coming into the pandemic, I mean, this was before, it was February when this happened. And as we go into the pandemic, I'm coming into it as in kind of a dark place, right? Initially. And then all of a sudden the pandemic happens and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm already down and sad about what's already happened. And then lo and behold, rolls around maybe March, we try again. Why not? Right. To see what could happen. You know, I
Hey,
have all
nothing
this,
else going on. Might as well.
I have all this free time and I'm like, why not? But you know, like I wanted life to take its path and just to kind of see what happened, you know, fear in mind. That's obviously what was going through my head at that time. Who knows, like you know, should I bring a child into this world? You know, I lost something, but like, should I bring something into this world during like the craziest time ever? And it worked. And, you know, we find out in May that our little rainbow baby, Lily, is coming. So it was like, in a way, it was like the scariest, but like the best feeling ever. So, you know, it was kind of like with a bittersweet kind of thing, like with mixed emotion, you know, like you feel like you have something so magical coming and you're ready to just like embrace that. But then you're also like fearful because it's the craziest time in the world.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, you don't, that's the thing is like, we have no idea, even now, even with the vaccine, even with the way things seem to be going, it can take one tweak of a strain and all of a sudden it's back to square one. Right. So it's like, it's obviously a very scary time for all of us. And yeah, to bring a kid into all that is even weirder and stranger and tougher.
And that was like a part of me I was like, you know, should we do this now that we're aware, you know, now that like already what we've been through, it's like, should we do this like during this time? And then I was like, you know what, we'll just see what happens. And it happened. And I keep calling Lily my little Corona Patch Kid because she literally is. So.
Yeah, I feel like we've named her so many things because like when I sent this Zoom invite, I named her a panda baby because she's the pandemic baby. And I honestly, I Googled to make sure that wasn't like some sort of racist term. And I really apologize if it comes across that way, but it's a pandemic baby. It's a panda baby. I want to surround her with little panda bears.
Corona Patch Kid / I don't even know what, little rainbow baby, because
I call
she's
her
our miracle.
Call her Lilybug because why not? She just looks like a little earthworm. Like,
oh, definitely Lilybug. And I know you created that.
Like you're playing off the Cabbage Patch Kids, but she totally looks like a glowworm. Like remember those glowworms that we had? Like you would squeeze it, like the face would glow up. But I'm pretty sure if you squeeze her, the only thing that's going to happen is like spit up. So.
Oh, of course. Yes. That's exactly what happens. Yeah. And amongst many other things from other
all the areas. God, I'm trying to think. I feel like at one point, I don't think it couldn't have been you. I wouldn't have remembered it just because we're so close in age, but it had to have been your brother, Christopher. I feel like somebody like was doing this with him and he just spit up in somebody's mouth.
Oh, I'm sure. Christopher had so many issues.
So many. He didn't know he was going to be topic today, but he totally
No, he did not. Poor guy.
So
poor guy.
Oh, little Christopher. So now, okay. So now you know, okay, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to have this panda baby, this pandemic baby. How did you prep for this? Like what were the doctor appointments like? Was Matt able to go? Like, how did this?
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy because, you know, living through my friends that are starting their families, already have babies, it was like, so exciting for them because they're like, oh my gosh, it's so great. Your husband, you know, he'll be so involved, get to go to all the appointments. And, you know, it's just like the best experience ever. So what's crazy is when you have a panda baby, it doesn't really go that way. Or you have a Corona Patch Kid. Yeah. So it's basically like, I didn't know what to expect. You know, I found out I was pregnant. I called the OBGYN and let them know. And that's when they were basically like, absolutely, like your spouse, he cannot come to any of the appointments at this time. You know, it's a strict no visitor policy. I mean, in a way, it was like really sad to hear that, especially because I'm like you know, this is my first baby. And I just want to share those moments with my husband, but you know, you find out that you can't, and it's really sad, but then you have to learn to kind of adapt to that situation and be like, okay, this is the new norm. This is what it is. So it was really interesting. I mean, like, because every single appointment, you know, I had to go to by myself. And The first one I think was probably the hardest because that's when you're so nervous, like going into that appointment, especially
You don't know what to expect. You've never done it before. So
never.
yeah.
And they make you wait a while. So it's nerve wracking because you're just, especially in the pandemic, like you're locked in your house. Like the worst part too is that I couldn't lean on like my family and my friends, share the exciting time. I mean, when I was telling my parents that I was due, it was through Zoom or FaceTime. So it was where it would be different if that wasn't the case. So it was just really different times. I mean, you're so excited, but then at the same time, you're like, what? You don't know what to expect. What's to come next? And so the first appointment was, I think, probably the most scary. And that was just because of like my history too. It's like, am I going into this appointment? Will it be okay? And if God forbid something did happen, to not have your spouse there, like that's horrifying, terrifying. So you don't ever want to have that feeling. So I did go, and everything was great, and the heartbeat was there, thank goodness. And I was able to actually FaceTime or do like a small video of the sonogram so that Matt could see it. But what's funny is that Matt felt like she wasn't actually there because he wasn't able to go.
Because he wasn't able to see. Yeah.
He's like, wait, is this real?
Okay. But when did he finally feel like it was real? Was it when you were gigantic, or like when she finally arrived? Even you being gigantic, was he like, nah, there's just a pillow in there?
I don't even know. I think for the most part, he was just like, that's weird. There's something in you.
I can hear him say that. That's what's making me laugh right now. I can totally hear him saying that.
Because it's the truth. And that's what he's like, well, I know something's there because you're growing and it's weird. But
that's not like potato baby. That's like that's a baby. Like
I know. I actually think I remember him too coming back one day, and I was like opening the microwave, and he's like, wow, you really look like you have something in the oven. Like, I'm like, yeah, I do. You wouldn't know because you're not allowed at my appointments, but
yeah, if he said that any other time, immediately in the doghouse. But
yeah, exactly. But I think, so what I did actually, because this is also interesting, is most of like the OBGYN, they were very strict. They wouldn't let him come to any of the appointments. But I found like a 3D clinic almost where they do 3D sonograms, and it's actually right down the street from us. And I called and I was like, hey, my husband can't come to any of our appointments. I don't even think he believes in me. I don't know. He really does. But I want him to see our baby. Like I want to experience this together. So is there a way that we can make this happen? And they were open to it. They're like, we're devastated. We feel so sad for new moms and moms to be, that their spouse can't come to their appointments. So they were actually allowing husbands or even just, a friend to come to the appointment so that you could take away just like the pictures of it and actually see the baby. So he was able to go to that. And that's what I think it really was real for him. And it was probably around, I think we went when I was like 12 weeks, around there. So, I mean, we at least had that, which was nice.
Yeah, that's definitely better as long as he started believing it, because he had a prep because life was about to change in more than just a pandemic kind of way.
And I'm pretty sure after he was like, that was crazy. And I think the part that's, and from friends that I have that are pregnant right now, they're going through it too because there's such strict policies, but they're frustrated because it's like, you're able to go on a plane, you're able to, go dine out, and there's still these policies where the spouse is not able, and that's their child. It's like, how are you going to still restrict that? So it's frustrating in a way. I got it in the beginning because that's when it all started, but now it's a little crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it to an extent, just because it's like they want to keep everybody that's in that hospital safe.
Yes.
I don't know. There's so many, like at this point, it's like, okay, we'll have him take a COVID test and just let him to come in to be a part of this once in a lifetime experience.
Or at least like the big ones, like the first appointment the 20-week one, because that's, the anatomy scan, which was another nerve-wracking one. Being pregnant and your spouse can't go to it is when you find out if there's any like abnormalities with the pregnancy. And I mean, can you imagine just like being in that chair and finding out that there's a heart condition or, something is wrong with the baby,
being alone,
and you don't have your spouse. So,
yeah. And, I realize that probably happens for people even outside of this pandemic for other circumstances. But, when you do have that spouse and do have that shoulder and you should have them with you, I mean, that makes it so much harder. So when it came to birthday,
birthday.
Well, I mean, like, how did that go? Like he was still unable to be there, or was that situation different?
There was some interesting, I felt like it was a roller coaster ride, because as I know, I had like a scare at one point when I was at my appointment.
Yes. Well, and I also want to point out for people too that don't realize this, you are in New York City. So like,
yes,
you're in the heart of where a lot of these cases were.
Absolutely.
Initially. So this makes it even crazier of a circumstance for.
Oh yeah. I mean, going to my doctor's appointment was actually like you were going through you were going through security at the airport. It's so strict. Yeah. So, I mean, what's interesting though, like our birth story is when, I went to, I don't even know, it was probably I was 36 weeks pregnant, and I went to my appointment, and they told me I was expecting just a normal checkup. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, you're low on amniotic fluid. And so it was like, all of a sudden I needed to go to the hospital. And I was like, am I having this baby today? And again, my spouse wasn't allowed to be there. So it was like completely traumatizing. They were basically like, you can't go home. You need to go straight to the hospital. So I went straight to the hospital, and it was actually, this was the hardest part because, I had to tell Matt he couldn't be there. And he's like, well, I need to be there. Like, what if you have the baby in like an hour? Who knows what could happen? And when I got to the hospital, I was like, is my husband allowed to be here? And they were like, no, not unless like you're completely intake, you're here to stay and you're delivering the baby. So I was like, well, what if I'm not delivering the baby, but I need support? Like, this is a very like emotional time.
What Matt should have been doing this entire time was like going back to school to be a doctor during the pandemic. So he could have literally delivered the baby.
That would have been amazing. No, that I do not want that. Actually,
he doesn't want it either. I know him. Like, he would have passed out in 2 seconds.
Actually, no thanks to that. But it was crazy because he was like, should I come there? Am I allowed to come there? And in most cases, you would be like, yeah, you can come here and you'll be able to sleep on the couch and this is fine. If you went to a hospital and you were there. I mean, I was there for 2 nights. I think it was 2 nights. All was well, thank goodness. But still, it was like through phone calls. Like, I was FaceTiming him and the dogs, and, he wasn't allowed to be there. So it was hard. And like the whole time you're finding out all this information, and I'm like, I mean, I would like to have my husband here, but he can't be here. So, just to make that decision together. And then our birth story, it was basically the same thing, like all of a sudden, boom, it happened. It was like 1, 2, 3, let's go to the hospital. We're racing there. We didn't know what to expect because we only knew from my previous experience and stay at the hospital that he wasn't allowed in. Yeah. And, we pull up into the parking lot, and then they're like, oh, you need to go to like the emergency area. So he circles there, and we're both ready to get out of the car, and they're like, no, you can't come. And he's like, what do you mean I can't come? Like, my wife's gonna give birth today, I think. And they're like, no, you can't come. You have to wait till she's actually like admitted into the hospital. So it was just like so crazy, because even then he was just like told, no, you can't be here. Fun times. Yeah. And basically, I mean, I then went in, and it's crazy because, I mean, giving birth is not just a quick process. I mean, for some it might be, right. For me, I will say it was average. And I went in, and it was probably they were like, your husband can't come in here until we admit you. And I was like, well, how long is that going to be? I mean, I'm having contractions. I feel like I'm going to have this baby. What's going on? He's in the parking lot. Like, he's not allowed to come in. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty weird because I don't think they actually, it wasn't until like maybe 4 hours later that they were like, your husband can come in now, because I was being admitted.
I mean, so when you're being admitted, like, are you then however many centimeters dilated where you're about to like shoot her right out?
No.
Is that what's happening?
I know. Basically, they were trying to determine if my water broke. And I was like, oh, it broke. I know it broke because this is not normal. And they were like, your contractions, like, they're so close together and we think this is it. And I'm like, well, you're not sending me home. And especially after he's been sitting in the car for 3 hours, who knows how long at this point. I mean, he was in the car long enough that he could, where I gave birth was in Connecticut. He drove all the way back to the Bronx and back to Connecticut.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because he forgot something. So it was crazy. And he was just getting so frustrated. Like, he was like, how are they not going to let me in right now? Like, this is crazy. They basically had to determine that my water broke, that I was having contractions that were 5 minutes apart. Meanwhile, I was probably 2 minutes apart at that time, to then be like, finally, we can let him in. He's allowed. It was nuts. And I could tell looking at Matt that he was ready to maybe kill people at that point.
So now that little Lily Bug is officially here, how's everything been going? I mean, you weren't in the hospital very long afterwards. And I know that's probably also part of COVID. They want to get you in and out of there. So
they do. And the other interesting thing too is, and I think, and again, I don't really know, but from what I know through friends is, they'll take the baby and put the baby in like a nursery, and the nurses will do a lot, like, or assist a lot, I guess you could say. But with COVID, it's like they put the baby in the room with you. So it's like, so it's like, all right, it's all on you now, like it because they don't want to keep
limit exposure
in and out.
Well, that's actually, I mean, hey, maybe that's how it's going to be done from now on. I mean, maybe that's how it should have been done this
in a way. It should be, I think, because it was a great learning experience for us too, because we're like, oh man, we don't even get a break, here's the baby. And I don't know if that was the same, or I don't know if it's changed again, because like I'm a new mom, but I felt like that was definitely more specific to COVID and the policies that they have in place. And then the other thing is Matt left like a Gatorade in the car, and so when he came into the hospital, he wasn't allowed to leave the room, so we're just locked up basically. And like you had mentioned, they want us in and out. So it was a really quick process. I didn't have any surgery, so I didn't have a C-section. So I was able to be there for the shortest amount of time, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So that was good.
So now that you're home and now that we're back in this world, how are you adjusting? How are you feeling about the future? I mean, has she told you yet what she wants to be when she grows up? I mean, it's been, how long has it been? I mean, I haven't met her yet, but
I don't know,
feel
but
like
I can tell you that I'm happy to have this again. So that's great. But it's been, I would say, great. And then not so great, right? Like, you have the ups and you have the downs, because it's sad because I'm not able to, see you and Nana and Aunt Sharon and Uncle Denny and everybody and be like, here's my baby, because of what we're faced with right now. So that, I guess, is the most frustrating part about it, is where in most cases I would welcome everyone, even people, that I know, that live close by, but you have to be really just careful in a way, and just, you want to make sure that the circle of people that you're bringing into your home are doing the same things that you're doing. When they go out in public, are they wearing a mask? Are they taking care of themselves? They're not like going to parties or just
not licking light poles. I got it.
It's had its ups and downs. I mean, this whole pregnancy, everything has had its ups and downs. Definitely the biggest win is that I could wear sweatpants through my pregnancy. I can wear leggings, all those things that you wouldn't be able to do if I was working. And even, postpartum too, like, I'm able to stay inside because why would I leave? I have a new baby and it's COVID. So
So I'm just gonna sit here right here on the couch. I'm gonna snuggle my baby, and
I mean, this is the
I'm
most
alive.
I've gotten ready in forever. So
I'm glad that I could give you an excuse to get fancy.
I know.
Where is she? Where is the little one? Where
I know, Matt, can you bring the Lily over here? We have woke up snoozing.
Oh,
We call her Snoozin' Susan.
she's got so many nicknames. Look at that sad little face. She's like, Mama, I was tired.
You're famous.
Hi, Lily Bug. Welcome to the podcast.
This is our Corona Patch Kid.
Oh, look at like the little panda baby. She's got panda cheeks.
Look at these cheeks.
They're so big. Heather, how did that come out of you?
I don't know.
Like, we used to play in your room. We never played pregnant.
I know.
I was never like trying to help you give birth in there. Like, we were just listening to Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby got back. I didn't know a baby was actually going to come out at any time.
Me either. We were singing mbop and
I know.
bop.
I will never ever forget listening to Baby Got Back the first time. Look at those, Baby Got Back. Oh my God, she's so cute.
We're gonna teach her all the songs.
Oh, we're gonna all of them. She's gonna love the 90s. Like, it's gonna be.
I think she just gave a smirk when I said that too.
Lily, you're gonna love Mbop. I promise.
Yes, you are.
Oh, maybe not. I think she tooted. I just think that's what happened.
She probably did. She's such a good baby, though. We're just here locked up in COVID. Me and her.
Yeah, you can sing Akon, Locked Up. It's a totally different meaning for you though.
Because I'm locked up, they won't let me out.
Oh, hey, yeah, no, I'm back. While you guys were watching that, I just got that first dose of that vaccine though. Yeah, no, I mean, feels pretty nice. No effects so far, so things are good. Hopefully, if you've been having a problem getting your vaccine, that can get all situated, but looks like I'm going to be all good to go by the middle of April. So yeah, if you want to hear about my experience, by the way, you can head over to the social accounts, just search Hello from Mars podcast on either Instagram or Facebook, and I'll have my story up there for you. But that's the podcast for today. So make sure you are checking out for the brand new episode coming up next Tuesday. Make sure you are subscribed. If you like what you saw, please review it, share it with your friends, and I'll be talking to you guys next week. Stay safe.
Oh, hey.